When we think of really beautiful places, rolling hills, lush forests, incredible waterfalls, we usually think of peace, right? But what if all that beauty is just a mask? What if just beneath the surface, there are secrets so dark they've literally poisoned the ground? Well, today we're going to a place where the local horror stories are said to be unlike anything else you've ever heard.
Look, you've probably heard of all the famous haunted spots in India, like Bangor Fort or Dumas Beach. They get all the headlines. But the local legends in Maharashtra's Konkan region, they have a totally different kind of chill to them. This isn't just about some random spirits. This is about truths that were buried so deep, they've been rotting the very ground they lie in for decades. So let's dive in. Our story starts with a woman named Arpita. After 20 long years away, she's finally returning to the small Konkan village where she spent her early childhood. But listen, this isn't some happy, nostalgic trip home. It's a journey back to a past that she doesn't even remember. Arpita's backstory is basically a huge blank. She was raised by her grandmother after her parents passed away, but then, all of a sudden, she was shipped off to the city for school 20 years ago. And here's the thing. There's this massive gap in her memory. She has no clue why she was sent away, and she can't even remember the faces of the kids she supposedly grew up with. So imagine this. Arpita arrives back in her village, and she's immediately surrounded by this crowd of warm, smiling faces. They all know her, but to her, they're complete strangers. It's so awkward and disconnected. Her grandmother just says, "Oh, you were just a child when you left," but that doesn't really help. But then, in that crowd, one person catches her eye. A man named Abhishek. And he's smiling at her with this intensity, like they share some deep personal secret. He walks right up, puts a hand on her shoulder, and asks, "You remember me, right?" But Arpita, she feels absolutely nothing. It's a complete blank. And this is where it gets really weird. Abhishek starts going on and on, excitedly talking about their childhood, all the games they played, how they were totally inseparable. But for Arpita, it's like she's listening to a story about a different person. She feels no connection, remembers none of it. This huge gap between their memories, it's the first major sign that something is seriously wrong here. A little later, Arpita, who's a city girl now, really wants a cigarette. But she doesn't want to smoke in front of all the villagers. She's looking for a private spot and happens to see Abhishek. She figures, okay, he's a local, he can help. So she goes and asks him for a place where nobody ever goes. Abhishek is totally thrilled that she's finally talking to him, and he suggests the perfect spot. He calls it the Andariwala jungle, the dark forest. And he tells her it's perfect because no one, and I mean no one, dares to go there. Not even in broad daylight, let alone at night. So they get there, and the second Arpita lights her cigarette, Abhishek's whole mood just flips. He looks almost disgusted by it. And as the sun starts to set, a new feeling takes over him. Pure fear. He tells her he absolutely cannot stay there after dark and warns her that if she stays, she's on her own. And then, without another word, he just turns and runs. Okay, so Arpita is now alone in this creepy forest as night is falling. She finishes her cigarette, and just as she's about to leave, she smells something. Fresh cigarette smoke. She's completely confused. Abhishek just said no one ever comes here. So she follows the scent. It leads her deeper and deeper into the woods, way off the path, until she stumbles into a clearing and sees it. A totally ruined, dilapidated house. And this is where everything changes. As she's staring at this crumbling building, her eyes drift upwards. And there, standing right on the edge of the broken roof, is the tiny silhouette of a little boy. Her heart just stops. She screams at him to stay still, absolutely terrified he's about to fall to his death. She rushes inside trying to get to the roof, but by the time she gets a view, he's gone. She looks down and sees him lying on the ground below. He fell. She runs to him, scoops him up in her arms, and as he opens his eyes, he says those bone-chilling words. In that single moment, Arpita's entire reality just begins to crumble. Still reeling from what he said, she looks back up at the roof. But it's not empty anymore. She sees herself. A much younger version of herself, standing right where the boy was. And then she watches in horror as her younger self slips and falls too. That vision unlocks a sudden painful memory, a severe head injury. And right there, she understands. This is the source of her amnesia. As she's trying to process this impossible scene, the boy in her arms just vanishes. And then, a figure steps out of the shadows. It's Abhishek. But something is terribly wrong. He's here to finally reveal the truth, the one she's been running from for 20 years. So here it is, the horrifying truth. Abhishek is the ghost of that little boy. He died right in this spot 2 decades ago. He explains that this forest is his now. His soul is trapped here. That's why the villagers stay away. They know it belongs to him. And for 20 long years, he has been waiting for her to come back. Absolutely terrified, Arpita scrambles out of the forest and runs all the way home. She's sobbing, completely hysterical, and she tells her grandmother everything, the ghost, the fall, the memories coming back. But her grandmother? She just sits there, listening, her face a complete blank. Just silent. And then her grandmother finally speaks, and the final, most horrifying piece of the puzzle clicks into place. She confesses everything. She was the one who found them both that day, 20 years ago, bleeding on the ground. Fearing Arpita would be blamed for Abhishek's death, she made a terrible choice. She rushed Arpita to a hospital and left Abhishek behind to die. Later that night, she went back to the forest, buried his little body, and sent Arpita away to the city to keep the secret buried forever. So now, with this monstrous truth out in the open, Arpita has a choice to make. The ghost of her friend is real. His death was a cover-up. What does she do? Does she finally face this truth, or does she run from it one last time? And what does she choose? She chooses herself, her life, her career back in the city. It's just too much to give up. So, to protect her own future, she tells no one. She packs her bags, ready to abandon Abhishek for a second and final time. As her car is pulling away from the village, she looks back at the crowd of people waving her off. And there, standing right among them, she sees Abhishek. He doesn't look angry or vengeful. He just raises a hand and gives her a slow, final goodbye. A silent acknowledgement of her betrayal. In the end, this whole story leaves us with one single, unavoidable truth. Our actions have consequences. A choice made in a single moment of fear can create a debt that follows you forever. It can create a ghost that will always, always demand to be paid. Arpita drove away, probably believing she'd left her past behind her for good. But the story leaves us all with this lingering question. Sure, she may have left the village, but did she really escape? Can any of us ever truly outrun the ghosts we create for ourselves?